Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the City of Blackwater here in City Skylines 2. I'm actually quite excited for today's episode because we finally have a substantial patch from Colossal Order. That's right, the expansion pass first drop of content is finally out alongside performance improvements. The first rendition, I guess, of the map editor and mod editor, Paradox Mods, is kind of gone live into a beta form, so substantial changes have finally arrived to the game. Still no word on console launch. I believe a lot of people still ask for that, so I don't know, and they haven't really said. Now, something I just wanted to address very quickly here at the beginning. Because there's been performance improvements, I decided to look into my graphical settings. I actually never really did this before. I only just whacked everything up to high and just kind of left it at that. But I went into the graphical settings, and I'll just show you here. Graphics, if you go to Show Advanced and then scroll down, we have the anti-aliasing, right? So I've gone with temporal anti-aliasing on the highest quality and ×4. I could do ×8 as well. It doesn't really seem to be a problem. Either one runs the game the same for me. But something it has done is just dramatically cleaned up the sort of jagged edges I was getting on, you know, kind of the more wiry things like wire fencing, the electricity poles and the lines that are running over trams, that kind of thing. So it massively has kind of cleaned up the game. But it has somewhat softened the image. To some extent, that's quite good in certain places, but in other places it can look like there's kind of this motion blur on. Now, I actually quite like it, but I just thought I would mention it just in case people have noticed things looking better. I don't believe this came with the patch or anything, but when I noticed the performance improvements, I was like, oh yeah, let's go in there and see if I can squeeze a few more frames out or make the image quality better. Kind of wish I did it sooner, because it probably could have run on my computer anyway. But yeah, you'll just notice, I kind of noticed like there's a little bit of blurring going on to certain things in the far distance, but you know, it's not too bad anyway. I think it's definitely an improvement overall. But one thing that is a bit of a drawback is if I go into zoning, you'll see that the zones are really faded out. And if I look straight down, they come into view. And that is a weird graphical byproduct effect of this temporal anti-aliasing method. I don't see it in other games, but it's happening in this one where for some reason the zoning is getting like faded out when I tilt the camera. Doesn't seem to happen if we turn it off. So just to quickly show here, if I go into graphics again, and we scroll down, anti-aliasing, let's just switch it off for a second. Now if I open this, you can see the zoning stays in place even if I tilt. But what you'll probably also notice is just a lot of shimmering on the buildings, on some of the fencing and things like that. And that flickering / shimmering, that kind of thing was what I wanted to get rid of. So I don't know, just wanted to take a minute here at the very beginning, just to let people know I've made that choice. We're gonna go with the anti-aliasing again on, well, actually we're not gonna use that. We're using TAA, high, ×8, all good. But those are the drawbacks we'll have to deal with, I guess. Now we'll turn on the day and night cycle soon enough. As it is March, we should get a little bit of airtime. Just gonna skip over that. We should get a little bit more. Oh my god, this is why I turned off this radio. So you can't turn off the people talking still. You can turn off the ads, but the announcements and stuff still happen, so I'll have to flick through it. But that's why I actually just run my own music. I license music from a website, and I edit it into the series to break it up. But it's nice to check out this radio station for a little while. Anyways, let's get into the gameplay. What are we doing today? So, a topic of conversation of the last episode was parking. Parking is a real problem. We've got a lot of people coming into the city, a lot of people trying to get in pretty much through this lane here, and the traffic being backed up is largely due to the fact that people are trying to get into our car parks. Now, the game has just, like I said, got modding added to it in a more official capacity. Of course, there was some modding beforehand, but now you have an asset editor, and I decided to play around with it a little bit. I've actually made my own car park. It's here. Now, it's the same as the underground car park. It just has far more capacity. It has doubled it. It is 500 as opposed to just 200. It's, you know, over double the upkeep, and it has its own drawbacks. You know, it's twice as over double as expensive, and it requires more employees. So we could just put that down, but I'm not going to, because it is a fake modded building that I've kind of modded into the game just as a test of how to use the asset editor. We're going to try and solve this the old-fashioned way before trying to introduce mods and stuff, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Would people be comfortable with me bringing mods into the series? Obviously, it's a massive part of the game, and I would probably do it to the point where I feel like it's controlled and balanced. You know, I don't really want to just copy and paste the building and change its values. I'd rather, you draw from the community mods, you know, people that are actually talented and can make good stuff, you know, get some other person's underground parking building that has its own values and bring it into the game if I feel like it makes sense. That's probably what I'll do. I don't know how to get rid of this out of the menu, by the way. The editor is really weird. I didn't even properly save it, and it's just there. I can't seem to change the name of it. I can't get rid of it, so I'm a bit of an idiot, I guess. I have a degree in game development, I don't know how to do it, but it'll probably just take a bit of reading up on it and finding out where the location that it's saved is, because you can't access it from the editor anyway, that's for sure. Alright, so, well, maybe it's not for sure, but in my quick testing, I couldn't find a way. Right, anyways, so what we're going to do is try and solve this parking problem. Now, in the comments, people were saying that there's a bit of a disagreement in the comments. It's quite kind of cool to see, actually. 2 lines of thought, and I'm going to try to bridge the gap between the two and come up with a solution in the middle, my centrist approach. So a popular thing that people were saying is that if you add parking, if you build it, they will come, right? So adding car parks is going to cause a lot of people to drive in the first place, and a lot of people to try to get to those car parks. People were saying if you remove all the car parks, then people will be forced to walk, and you'll have less cars on the road. I don't know about that. I didn't test it. I think if I removed all the parking buildings, we would just simply have massive traffic jams anyways. But maybe not. Other people say that, look, you're just not, it's a skill issue and you need to place more car parks. You're not, the amount of people you've got here, you're not supporting them with enough. So you just need to simply add more. And my whole thing was, I'm just a bit annoyed that an underground car park has 200 spaces, which granted is actually kind of a lot of spaces. But it's just there's so many cars that it just feels like the whole place will have to be covered in car parks. Anyway, so I'm going to try to bridge the gap in the... well, I guess I'm more going with the latter. I'm going to try to add more car parking spaces, which I'll do in just a second, but then provide more public transport and more, you know, solutions to getting people around our various districts. And hopefully the idea will be that the car parks will fill less and less, and then we can start to remove them. So I'm kind of going for that middle approach where it's like, okay, I believe that more car parks will be a solution, but I also believe we can encourage more people to take the bus, the train, the tram, the underground, whatever, and then we can slowly remove them. So hopefully we're all on the same page. Sorry it took a while with that, but let's get into things. So I've scouted a few locations where we're going to build our first one. Here. Right, so the goal of this car park renovation thing is that the goal ultimately is to cut down on traffic coming into the city. So we're going to get rid of all this. I'm going to add in 2 here, almost back to back. And I'm not going to use my one, we're just going to use the standard one. So consider the game unmodded still. Now, seeing the zoning can be a little tricky, but yeah, so we'll have to turn off snapping, I guess. Rotate this around. Yeah, it's still a bit weird. Okay, anyway, so we'll just manually move this over. If I can get rid of that background. They seem to have changed. Usually if you press the I hotkey, it would get rid of that white background so we could kind of see what we're doing, but that's not working now. I think I'll have to redo Lafayette Street. I'll just get rid of that road as well. If we build out a nice solid road straight across, we should get the zoning appearing here for one nice big building, which is kind of what I'm after. So we've turned on snap to zoning grid. We want zoning cell length, 90-degree angle, go straight out to the right. Then we turn off the zone grid because we don't want to latch onto that one. Dude, I can't even see. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem because now we're between zones, I guess. Alright, finally done it. We have our 2 car parks and we have a nice intact zone grid. Alright, it's hard to see obviously, but it is looking better. Okay, so with that, I think I'm probably just going to go with a big building here in the center. And do we want it to be a 6x6? 3? No, we'll do 5x5. Yeah, so that'll be a big 6x6 building in between the 2 car parks. Interesting. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this row of houses as well, because we need to just clean up. All the zoning is broken, basically, so it all just needs to be redone. The only way to do it is by putting the road back down fresh. So that was going to be a large road with a division line in the middle. A dividing line. We want zone to grid on 90-degree angle. Snap to zoning cell length. Let's go. Try to get that right. And I'll probably start to declutter this area just a little bit. But we'll just let these guys come in for now. Anyway, medium density the rest of the way down I think is totally fine. Good. That's looking a lot better. Alright, so that was like pulling teeth, but we finally have the 3 new buildings coming in this way. We've got all of our mixed residential reappearing down here. Our car parks are back in position. We'll just make them full price for now. Now, I did have to cut the tram line, so let's just get that back up and running. I forgot to put that back in. So upgrade mode, tram line's back. We also want to separate it out, right? So we go into our widening of the center island thing. I guess then also we need our bus. Man, it'd be nice if I could just make a template road that has all the stuff on it or something. Okay, and this was just kind of grass and stuff in the middle, wasn't it? It wasn't actually a stop, so we'll just fill that in, let the trees regrow. Good. Now, the good thing is we also repaired the zoning down this way, so while these houses are going to ultimately fall away, at least we'll get some new ones that'll hopefully look a bit better. And then finally, we'll put in a pathway over on this side just to connect that up. Okay, good. So that's our first little area done. Hopefully it'll come in and look a bit better. But it's not the last. We have, I think, one more car park that I was planning on adding. I just need to see what would be the best location for that. Right, okay, I think I'm going to go with here. So we're going to get rid of this section completely. So just bulldozed. See you later. It's all zoned at the moment, so we'll just get rid of that. And this is what I was talking about. It's like, man, we need a lot of car parks. It takes up a lot of housing, you know, that we could have otherwise used. So it's a bit of a shame. But, right, underground car park, and we'll face it to break up the flow of traffic. I think facing it out this way would be a good idea. So we'll do that. Just trying to think, is that right, though? I guess so. I don't see why not. Alright, so we have a big high-density house there, and then some medium-density houses creeping in on this side. Just wondering, is that the best way to make it happen? That's a bit better. Yeah. Okay, cool. Alright, so there we go. Another car park is in position. Whack up the prices just for now. And it'll be interesting to see. Does this take pressure off of these ones? Do people move now further into the city? And how does that really work out for us? Gotta wait and see, I guess. The next thing I wanted to do was down here. This area never really sat right with me. So I'm just going to grab this car park and move it and aim it in. And I'm going to add a little buddy for it. So 2 in a row. Alright, so 2 right there. And this gives us more room to have more shops and things as we get closer to the bridge. And they're just a bit more tucked in now next to the pedestrian road. So maybe with some terrain leveling. Oh, that doesn't look right. Wow. That's pretty bad, huh? That can't just be the anti-aliasing thing doing that, is it? Really? That's crazy if it is. Let's see. Oh my god, it's the anti-aliasing doing that? That is so bizarre. So anti-aliasing, for those who don't know, is a post-processing effect. The image is done and rendered, and then your CPU goes in and blends the pixels together. That's what anti-aliasing is, as far as I understand. Even temporal, the TAA version. But that is... I can't understand why it would do that to the translation of where your mouse is and stuff. So maybe we could try a different method. Subpixel morphological AA. Yeah, so it seems like TAA is just completely broken. I mean, it works just in terms of how it affects the game. Yikes. I mean, if you go from a top-down perspective, it's fine. It's just the translation of tilting the camera to the in-world renderer is just completely off, so I haven't seen anything. I mean, that is really weird. But we should just be able to push this kind of wall back now a bit. And it might actually look kind of better like that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to do something with that in the future. But for now, this is totally fine. At least we've got our 2 car parks here. Alright, so some of our new buildings have popped in already. That's good. Yeah, so my plan was to declutter this central area, so I'm going to now focus on spreading out our high-rises to be a bit better and a bit less obstructive of each other, if that makes sense. So that's the plan anyway, but it'll take a little bit of time to keep fleshing that out with, you know, basically anywhere that we have a lot of medium density, just 1 or 2 can get knocked down, and then high-rises can go up in their place, and then we try to spread them out so they're not next to each other. That's basically it. Alright, we also are missing our bus routes here. That's a bit better. There's actually slightly less vehicles in these now, 197 and 198. So a few people have left. We'll obviously need a bit of time to flush it out. So it's nearly 9 AM. Let's turn on the day-night cycle. There we go. It's nice seeing the city running now, isn't it? I just think, I know that it's annoying, the TAA problems with the zoning and now the surface tool, I guess, but I think it's so much worth it. At least what the feedback I'm getting on my screen looks great. I'm so happy I've gotten rid of that flickering. But man, it is a shame. Hopefully they can fix that soon or prioritize it. Because like the bridge like here and everything looks so much better now without the flickering. Obviously shadows are going to flicker because of the day-night cycle, but still much better overall. All right, cool. So let's continue work over on this side of the city. I've got loose ideas of what I think should happen over here, but nothing totally foolproof. So something that we need is post a bank, a kind of offices district. I want to see how many people do we have population-wise. 8.7% unemployment. Now, I don't know what percentage of what education tier is unemployed, but we have 23,000 jobs and 21,500 people employed. So about 1,500 people... 1,500 people jobs are out there that people aren't taking, probably in the well-educated category, if I was to guess. And we have a demand for more elementary schools, of course, as usual. All right. So 14%, 32%, 24%, 12%, and so on. Interesting stats. All right, yeah, I don't know what to do with that information. If we don't know how many people are unemployed per category, it's hard to decide, okay, should it be offices or should it be farms, or I don't really know. But I tell you what, we have our college here. I want to fill in this little bracket right here and try to be quick about it. So I was thinking a football field, right? So we have a soccer field over on this side of things. So I think one right here would be kind of cool. I'm going to turn off the zoning. We'll flip it around so that the kind of seating and stands are at the back of the... Yeah, next to the highway as it rises up. So can we fit this in here? Oh, I knew something was wrong. That's the soccer field. That's the American football field. Right, there we go. The soccer field fits no problem. Yeah, I could have sworn. I was like, yeah, pretty sure I kind of thought about where it could go and it wouldn't have been an issue. So I would say somewhere like there. Maybe down a bit from the wall. All right, there we go. A little soccer field. So that could be for like that college. I think is kind of a nice idea. But we'd obviously need to clean it up and make sure there's a way to actually get to it. So I would say a pedestrian road that could lead out here will be kind of nice. Straight up like that, and then bring this over to the side maybe. For that car access. No pedestrian access. Really? Feels like we do have pedestrian access. Oh, there we go. It must have just needed to come over a bit further. Could go over on that side as well, but actually this area could be good for a little car park or something. So, a small car park. Yeah, it fits. So we could push that in from the road a bit. Maybe to there. Is that weird? Yeah, I don't think so. Don't think we need traffic lights though. Just leave it. Just gonna whack the fee of every car park up to the max until we can bring it down basically in the future. Now, it's the only thing though. I would have liked to continue this path all the way straight down, but this is kind of in the way. I wonder could I shorten that down a bit? That seems like there's enough room to get through. Okay. Let's grab our pathway tool now and bring it straight. Yes, it works. He wants to do some weird... What the hell is that? Why did it do that? I don't know. Okay, so what we could do is then snap aside a building. Build this along and connect it in. That doesn't seem to actually create a crosswalk or anything, so that seems fine if it connects in there, right? So that actually probably leaves us with a bit of room again for another commercial building here. So yeah, I'm happy to do that. Let's go a 4x4. Oh no, it's not a thing. It's 5x4, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, you know, it is what it is. That's not too bad. Alright, that's looking a bit nicer. We could also then build a pathway that goes out this way. And the pathway can just roll under the bridge and maybe it can connect out there or something in the future. So that's what we got. So yeah, obviously some trees and things need to be dotted around here now to clean it up a bit. Alright, just a little bit of foliage just to kind of block the area a little bit from the road. Could do more with it in the future. In between episodes, I like to kind of do some of that stuff. Alright, our path is reconnected. People are walking it again, which is good. Alright, there we go. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Maybe a few trees or bushes or something around this side would also be nice. one of the things in the patch is actually that when you place a tree now, it randomly like will rotate it as it's placed, because previously it didn't, so they'd all just be exactly uniform. So what I would often do is hold right click, and as I moved it, I'd like left click to place them as I rotated. But don't have to do that anymore. Alright, and that just fills out the area just a little bit better on that side of things. Now if we go into our developer tools and we type clip, do we still have this? We do. Can maybe tidy up the sand and things here. Man, it just shows if you just put a little bit of that extra time into things, it can just look so much better, I think. So adding some of the trees and the shrubbery here just to fill in that kind of empty gap. We have the high density commercial building. It's entertainment. That just worked out very well because, you know, they have drinks and provide entertainment to people right across from the soccer field. I feel like that just kind of makes sense for the area. But also at the back of the college, we have food stalls and picnic benches and just a general kind of park kind of area. So when the weather's not raining, you know, it'd be nice to see people actually sit at these things. I don't think that happens in the game, but maybe one day we'll get there. But yeah, quite happy with this overall little area. Looks quite nice. Let's have a look now. It's been a couple hours in game. We can see has our traffic situation been diluted at all? It seems like it kind of has. Less people are using these car parks now, which is a good sign. And we can check these new ones we've placed down. So this one, 63 out of 200, 172 out of 200, and this one, 122 out of 200. So yeah, we seem to have spread the wealth a little bit in terms of parking, which is what people wanted. I think also I'd like to clean up just a little bit more of these streets. I always forget or miss a few. Put some grass on the edges here, get people into those car parks. And that keeps it consistent the whole way down. We have nice trees and grass on one side. Obviously, it's very dense in there with buildings so close together, but that's a lesson learned. We'll clean that up, though. I know I keep saying it, but we will in future. And how's our new street, our kind of mixed residential zoning here? So these ones have just come in, but they're looking a lot more uniform. No more gaps between them anymore, which is nice. I'm not saying they're actually nice-looking buildings. They're kind of not, but for what it is, at least it's as good as it can look, right? Seamless connections between the two. We've got our corner building as people go around the side. People are parking on either side of this, which I'm not a mega fan of. Maybe a wide sidewalk out here. Maybe some trees on this one. Actually, you know what? Trees without the grass I think is quite nice because it means that people can kind of pull up and park, but they're still like just embedded trees like that. You don't see it, but you'd imagine there'd be a little what's the word, vase, or not even a vase, but just kind of a little open area of soil where it's kind of built into the pavement rather than literally going straight through the concrete. So I can forgive that. I can imagine that's there, especially from the height that we normally play the game at. We can obviously interpret that, I think, totally fine. We'll have to rebuild this road as well at some point in the future, just get rid of all these gaps that have appeared. But yeah, generally speaking, that seems to have alleviated. The real test will be 6 p.m. How backed up will this be as people are flooding their way in? But we're going to keep continuing to focus out on this area here. So I'm going to throw in a lot more high density commerce along the side of our college here. We're going to expand the college to allow for more residents. Or, well, what's the word? Students, of course. I guess it's kind of residents if you have boarding school. Alright, that's looking good. Yeah, so we have to work on this area out now. So what I was kind of thinking for it was basically to go with the central bank in this big area here. Now to do that, we'll have to unlock it, obviously. So we go to our administration tab. We have the central bank, 8 points to unlock that. So fairly expensive. So, houses stock and resource traders as well as financial advisors and loan officers. The services working together lowers loan interests and reduces the price of imported resources. So, negative loan interest, which is great, and then a negative % to import costs, but a bonus to export costs, or profits. So, that's great. So, I was just going to plant it right down around here. I just want to make sure that is where I want it. So, I want about 4 zone tiles free on the right side for commerce. So there, I think, right? That would give us 5 free, but that's room for a pathway as well. That could look good. Milestone 13 unlocked. Huge city, 3.6 million in the bank, and an extra 13 development points, 24 expansion permits. Love it. Yeah, still have to actually reconnect that road over there. I've been a bit hesitant since it crashed the game on me before. I don't think that's what did it, but when that happened, it means I just have to do that again. So let's check out this building. It's massive. It's a central bank. Again, with the massive ornate buildings in this game. I don't know what the deal is with that. Wide, massive plots with not much going on 90% of the building. And then the building itself doesn't look like any bank I've really seen, but so be it. That's the way it is. It's the only one in the game. There's no additional buildings or modules to add on to it. So it just is what it is. It's nice to see our trams working well. So yeah, you'd think that this would be more like the heart of a financial district. So I was probably going to have more commerce along the sides here, and then out to this. This is our crematorium. That's just going to have to move. I'm just going to place it over here for now. Just keep pushing that problem further away. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll extend this street out. So medium-sized roads. We don't want all of these things on, but that one, and that one are my go-to. Alright, let's just bring this out. That's a 0.4% incline. That seems okay to me. So we'll just continue that out. What's probably going to happen with this road is we'll have a parallel road to the highway like so, and then it'll just join on. And then maybe there's a way to get in from this side as well. It's got to go straight across. Alright, nice intact zoning. That should be the space needed to now get the police station, throw it in at the back, and have it line up. Although maybe it would have been good to have an alley go behind the 2 buildings. Would that be better? It might be. Alright, in that case then, we'll need a little bit of extra room. Alright, that's better. Alright, so let's try this again. So we grab our police station, click to move it, and it gives us just a 1 tile gap around the back of it to feed in a pathway over there. Now, the post office would be the next one. Communications, right? Standard post office, but we need some of the upgrades on it as well. So I'm just going to place it here for a second and see what kind of upgrades do we have. We have the post van garage. It can only go up as far as there because it needs to connect onto that road. Okay. Yeah, so something like that's totally fine. And then this could go on the back here and here, right? Yeah. Interesting. Just wondering, could we even rotate that and latch it onto the side? Oh, we can't. Really? It seems like it would be perfect. Oh, we can. Yeah, so this would fit on the side here. That's kind of nice. Nice place for it. And this, again, gives us freedom to have either an alley or more likely just pedestrian path that goes up around the back. Some of this music on this radio is quite nice, gotta say. I'm digging it. Alright, so our pathways will roll behind the buildings, so that's all good. We do have room around here for something. So maybe a road could come in here and we could fill this with a few additional offices or something. That might look kind of good, actually, around by the post office. Just some low density ones, I think, would make the most sense. So that'd obviously be a very small amount there, but we don't necessarily have to fill that bit. So these could be quite large, actually, yeah. Let's just completely fill it and see what happens in terms of what buildings kind of come in, if any. It's actually currently saying that this is a suboptimal road, a bad suitability. Oh, it's just okay, never mind. It must have just been because it was new. Alright, so we got some offices coming in there. We have our central bank, our police station. Place is looking nice. Very admin-focused area. Not going to keep the crematorium there, but it might go somewhere around this area. This is quite a flat part of the city. I wonder could we do some high-density ones here and see what they would look like. I wonder would that look good. We'll see what happens. So let these ones appear. Wow, okay. So they're really tall. That's really tall. But that's what I mean, if we can't build a bank that's any taller than that, I mean, ultimately it's just kind of what has to happen. Alright, I'm going to work on a layout in this particular area now. I've kept it nighttime, by the way, because I feel like it's bright enough. Hopefully people don't mind that. You can let me know in the comments. Some people have asked me, you know, if you're going to play with day and night, keep it on. And yeah, I think it looks quite good. New radio, got some good vibes. A lot of people using our parks, our pedestrian crossings. No traffic right now. City's looking good. City is looking good. This game's got a lot of potential, you know, for this alpha state. But we're close, we're getting there. They're getting there. Getting to where it should have been. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the day-night cycle is back on, and I thought we could talk through what's kind of been done here. So some of the buildings are still popping in. I was kind of talking through it, and I felt like I just got very disjointed. So I wanted to clear the air, do a recap, and just talk about what's appeared where and how we feel about it. So it's a bit experimental. Buildings are still popping in. I'm kind of judging how I feel about them, but let's go over it. So very quickly, how we started off this area was with the central bank, flanked by the police headquarters and the post office. Now, the unfortunate thing about these buildings is they look like they're low or mid density, right? They look like they're medium density buildings. These ones look like they're low density. And, you know, ultimately, we now have office blocks, towering office blocks that are obviously high density. And we can't really blend them naturally down to this height because there's no medium density offices. You're either going low or high. You're either going to have a minimum of, like, I think about 20 stories. Well, maybe less than that, just, you know, 10 stories, let's say, or you're going to have 4 stories, that kind of thing. So there's no real middle ground, and because of that, I feel like it's hard to kind of blend the architecture of these buildings up to the level of these ones. Kind of like how we've done here, although obviously want to get better at it again, so it's kind of small, medium, large, and then very large. You want to have that kind of peaks and valleys kind of thing. Now I'm learning, unlike this side, where we had them all cramped together, I'm trying to space them out, right? So the idea, again, with the financial district, if we want to call it that, the offices district, is that for workplaces and these corporate buildings, I feel like they actually, well, it depends where you go in the world, right? It just depends, really. But they often have a little bit more space around them. They're not just packed together. You can see out the window and look left or right, rather than just staring right into the building that's in front of you. So I quite like the look of this. I like the idea of, like, we'll have a plaza around here. The grass, right, that's temporary. We'll fill that in with paving, some fountains, some trees. That could look a lot better that way. The only thing I'm not happy about is just the fact that these buildings exist that are so small in comparison. Can't wait for mods to just make this exact thing, a central bank, but just a taller version of it, a high-density version of these buildings. There's nothing wrong with the option of having this building. It's a nice building, very ornate fountains, parking lots, bushes. It's cool. But it just doesn't fit like a city, I feel like, anyway. Depends on the city, I guess, but a high-density city. And that's where we're trying to fit it in. So, anyways, let's talk about what we've got around it. So, on the right side of this area, we have Primrose Street, which I'll probably rename to something like Main Street or Shop Street or something like that, where this is where we have all of our, I keep saying medium density, but this is high-density commerce. It's as tall as the commercial buildings ever get in the game. Even if you're playing NA, they only get as big as this, I believe, for high-density commerce. So we've got high-density commerce following this street all the way down and all the way through here where it becomes mixed residential. So it's still kind of commercial, you know. So Primrose Street always kind of has that going on. By the way, it's 2 p.m. right now. Traffic is pretty clear. I'd say we've done a pretty good job of finding the parking for people. They seem to be much happier with where they want to go now. They're not clogging up our parking lots nearly as badly. In fact, they're emptying some of them. What about these? So these two are full. You can tell where people are trying to get to, I guess.
And try to stay off the streets.
I actually quite like this radio station. It's probably my favorite one in the game so far, which is good. But anyway, yeah, so I just thought it was interesting. You can kind of see... Come on.
We're live,
There we go. Anyways, you can kind of see where people are obviously trying to get to. We have such a massive concentration of people here that was probably the reason that the parking was so bad, because people are just trying to get there and park somewhere nearby. So I think that's really the reason for it, and I keep meaning to declutter that area, and we will. Just need to think about it and figure it out. But over here, if we wrap back around, so that was the commercial buildings all along here. Then inside, we now have, again, a continuation of offices. So this is a low-density office block here, but it's a big building in terms of its space. It takes up a lot. And then we kind of work our way up to the next tier of 2 buildings here. These are almost like our mini version of our own twin towers. Not to have any negative connotation there, I just mean they're 2 identical looking buildings. Tower A, Tower B, slight color difference with the same model. And they are doing telecoms and media. So again, with these ones, I gave them actually a street, a pedestrian street in between each one to create this sort of plaza effect where we have these nice street lights going in between and people will be walking between, because I could have just done regular pathways, but it feels kind of nice to actually connect it that way, I think, anyway. So we'll see how people feel about that. I'm feeling good so far. But again, some of this grass is going to go away. We'll just stretch out the paving and the surfaces depending on what we go with, because I might go with some trees. These are custom placed trees that I put down there. Anyway, the next building over is our tallest building we have so far. This is the Teropus building on 465 Cozy Street. Almost fully leveled up already, even though it's only just been placed down. Telecoms building, Teropus. 87 employees. Bit weird, huh? Only 87 people work in this entire building, but there you go. I guess everyone else is working from home. Then we have Capine. We see this company quite a lot, the Capine company. Again, almost tier 5. Loving life. How are we doing, actually, now that we put these down for employment? Yeah, we actually lowered unemployment by 4%. So that's pretty good. So obviously, a lot of the educated workforce didn't really have anything to get into. Or they've taken up work in a lot of the commercial buildings. That could be true as well. Anyway, behind that, then, we have some medium density residential and some high density residential. So this one's a high density and these two are high density, but I made them smaller on purpose. And then we have I kind of just filled this in and let it do whatever it wanted to. Same with this area. So this would need to be tidied up with some props, some pathways and things like that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. We then have a car park right in there, because I just felt like with some of the high density buildings, there's one here, and then a very small one obviously for the soccer field here. So hopefully that can kind of cater to the area in terms of residential. A lot of people parking on the side of the streets right now. So anyway, that's the recap. You know, nothing's set in stone. We can always change things a little bit, but for now we'll just leave it, see how we get on, and if we're jiving with it, especially over time. Oh, okay. What are we thinking? Game's looking a lot better, isn't it? I think so, anyway. Oh my god, what are you doing? It's police. They think they can do whatever they want. I think it's nice sometimes just have a little bit of a look around at what life on the ground is like, see what people are doing, get our eyes on the buildings up close. I really like the look of this one. I said that before, the way it's soft corners around the edges look really, really nice. Quite a few dogs there. Yeah, this place is feeling much more alive, much better. Alright, yeah, I think that's enough looking around. Well, we could check out our new area, of course. So just really quickly, we have our soccer field. This little area in here with our shrubs that are now growing in. Hopefully they add animation someday to this. That would be quite nice. Feels very lacking without it. So far, no traffic problems with all the people moving in and everything. Seems totally fine. And I'm liking the skyline we've gone for here. I am thinking, like, we could do with even having another tall building here. But remember, up on the next tier of Key Wall, we're going to have buildings up here that will be tall as well. Alright, so that is our... Oh yeah, we put down posts, but I didn't actually put down mailboxes. So I got to do that next. So our coverage, surprisingly, is like still really good. But let's start adding some around the sunset. Wow, yeah, coverage is like so good that I don't even really know where to put it. And then the mail accumulation is low for all these places, so probably just on the street that wraps around the outside of the building, or the outside of the district. There's some mail accumulation in there. Alright, slammed down quite a few. I'm guessing they'll be fine though either way. Don't think we've any out this way actually, and it says, yeah, it's got some bad coverage. So maybe just even one post box down here would kind of sort those guys out. Cool. Man, it's raining all the time. Alright, I reckon the next thing is then to join this road up with this one down here. So let's begin that process. So it's a medium road. We'll go with a complex curve if we can. Zoning length. Yeah, that's all good. So that was 112. Which is why I want to do something like that and then merge onto it if possible. I think that would probably just make more sense. With the way terrain goes back up, actually, I don't think it does make sense doing that. So let's do that again. So that's our contour. Yeah, I guess I should really keep the contour lines on and see how this is all working. What would that be? It's only negative 5.1%. That's totally fine. So yeah, much more straightforward. Just wrap it around. Totally fine. We can blend some of the terrain on the edges. That looks a little bit better now, I think. Hey, we've got our first taker. Sweet. City's coming along quite nicely. Not a fan of the fact that we have like 3 identical buildings here, but I guess that's just the way it zoned itself. Are they all upgraded? 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5. They might start looking a bit different. Lori's Lentils twice. I gotta say, one of you's gotta go. Convenience food. I'm gonna go with this one. You guys can go. You're on the edge, so it's less likely that you need to be convenience food. So just really quickly, I've just zoned this area and it's been called Elk Heights, which is a totally fine name. Something Heights might actually be kind of good, but I can't really think of a name on my own. I was going to call it Little Haven, but that was because I thought in my head it was going to be a residential area primarily, but it's not. It's sort of a jack-of-all-trades area. Now, we could divide it up so it doesn't have to be one big block, but it does currently have a college, you know, football field, central bank, headquarters for police, post office, tons of office buildings, tons of shops that wrap around Primrose Street. A little bit of residential in there. It's got the hospital, so it's like... yeah, it's just a part of the city. I have no idea what we call it. So if you have any good suggestions, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to pull out the one that either gets the most upvotes or one I just like the most. Because, you know, upvotes can be a little abusive. Might get some silly names out there, but sometimes that can be fun too. I like just looking at the skyline, though. It's really taking shape. I like this big building here. I think it works. I think it works. I think it breaks it up a bit. Right, so I want to be parallel off the highway. So the way I'm going to do that is if I just grab the highway, bring it straight out at a 90-degree angle, keep our zoning on, and then just grab, maybe turn off the guidelines, and just grab a bit of that zoning and bring it straight down. That keeps us parallel to the highway, which looks a lot better. So that's an even 5 tiles of zoning pretty much the entire way down. So that's good. So we can disconnect that now, disconnect that. And then we just have to find a way to get onto that with our standard road here. So we'll turn back on guidelines. And go down. Yeah, so that makes sense. So this is a 6-lane road that has to go on. Alright, so there we have it. So I've just added a new little way out and a way into the city. Now, granted, it's not a bi-directional way in and out, right? That's what the junction here is for. So whether you're going west or east, you have a way in or out of the city. It's totally fine with this junction. Obviously, it's a bit crazy, but it's got character, damn it, and it's not changing. But this one is more just, if you're on the left-hand side and you want to get it into the city as a shortcut, on this side you can take this road here. So we'll just follow this garbage truck as it's doing that right now. Nervously taking my new overpass to get over and then merging on here. Now, if I could just import my drawings into the game, right? I feel like I can draw on paper a very smooth curve that starts here, winds out, loops around, and then merges into there. But in the game, I struggle a bit. So it's not completely smooth and nice and curvy. It's okay, but it could be better. So maybe I'll play around with that in the future as well. I'm trying to get better with that kind of thing. So maybe we'll redo that if we've got some time. On the way out, so we've just merged the first kind of retaining wall here with the lower part of the city down here. So that's totally fine. But this now continues straight if you want on an asymmetrical road, 3 lanes out. So 2 will take the first left on the roundabout here, bringing you straight onto the highway. 1 will actually keep you on the inside and you'll loop all the way around. And sorry that the shadows are just breaking on that again, but if we stay high enough up, you don't really see it too badly. But yeah, we've got a slip road then. If you were doing the opposite and coming from this direction, you can go take the first lane and that'll just merge you back out to the left. Or you can get onto the roundabout. Again, first left will do the same thing. Nothing I can do about that. Can't deny it. You can't get rid of it. It'll always be there. So until we get mods or something, that's just the way it is. Because I'd like this just to be 2 lanes, you know. It's like, oh, this is 3. We lose 1 lane to take the slip road, and then we just have 2 to continue on. But it is a roundabout. I mean, the rules are that you can take that first left on a roundabout. The only difference would be that this should have a straight arrow as well. It should be straight and left. That's what I would like anyway, but oh well. Yeah, it sucks that the shading is so borked on it. I don't really know why. I guess it's not the flattest terrain. Anyways, just thought I would just mention that's what's happened there. I don't think it'll actually have very much traffic. I imagine most people will come in through the big interchange because that's bi-directional, and then they'll just come in this way and they can filter over to the right to get to where they need to go. And then I think a lot of people will come down this way and merge in. I don't think the highway is going to bring in that much into this area specifically because it's offices and residential, whereas your industry and your commercial is where you get the most. I suppose we do have a commercial street here, but I don't know. It remains to be seen. I just don't think we'll have that much coming in this way. We'll see though. Alright guys, I think that's going to have to be it for this episode, so I don't know if it's going to end up being shorter. It feels like I haven't done as much, but I've spent actually quite a long time going back and forth on lots of things out here. But yeah, I was just kind of thinking like long term now, what's going to be happening next? You know, we're going to go with the metro station, start planning metro routes around this area. You guys can help me decide if it's going to go under the river or not. It's kind of up to you. I sort of wanted to leave this town unmolested, as it were. Oh, by the way, we can see our... Yeah, the high rent thing actually bleeds away when we tilt down like this. Is that on purpose? I don't know. It almost feels like it is. That's why they're flickering out in the distance. I can just about see the icons. That's so funny. We haven't actually seen any of our icons. There's been a traffic incident. So that anti-aliasing setting is actually broken, letting me know that things are happening. Well, that's not good. But yeah, we've had a little traffic accident there. Anyways. Yeah, so I think in the next one, subway, I'm going to start connecting that highway back up here, and we're going to start investing more into industry because I've been meaning for a while to update Concord's End up here, improve it, and the main reason I want to do that is I want to unlock more of these, unique buildings. So there's actually these new DLC ones that have been unlocked, and we didn't do anything with the beachfront zoning because we don't have any waterfront housing, but we could actually put some down like along the quayside. It doesn't grow there. It wants to be, because it's low density, the only places I can place them are like far out in rural areas right now. So we could make a little Spanish village or something down by the water, like in some unique place, but there's no beach in the game yet, so feels like a weird DLC. It's like, hey, you've got beachfront houses, but you can't actually add like beaches or tourism and stuff like that yet. It's like, okay. Anyways, but yeah, there are still big things that I want to unlock and do. So the medical university, tech university, a lot of the industrial buildings that are locked are behind those things. So big pharma and the oil refinery, they require those universities. So that means we just need more people to fill those universities, right? We still have just the one, and it's almost full. But if we can maintain a bigger population, 60, 70,000, then we could have another 2 or 3 universities on the go in strategic locations. And yeah, then we can build up our industry and maybe get an airport and bigger things in the final kind of biggest buildings. Because yeah, we've placed almost everything that's kind of a mid-size or mid-tier stuff now. We're kind of reaching the end game in terms of population. Once you get to about 100,000, I feel like now that's at the point where you can get kind of everything. So we're just about, we're growing so rapidly. 40,000 quickly gives way every episode now. Another 10,000, I feel like. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm going off topic here, but let me know what you want to see next. I'm really eager to hear what people would like to see, because I'm kind of a little directionless on where I should focus next. My best thing is just like, okay, I'll just fill out all the patches that we haven't done yet. But other than that, I don't really know specifically what people would like to see. So let me know. All right, that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for sticking with the series. I hope people are enjoying the update if you are playing the game. And I'll see you in the next one.